This is the Louie Tee Network.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie Tee? Welcome to Lockdown Coverage, week number 9 in the National Football League. Jacksonville Jaguars on the road taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And look, no Alex Smith in this game. Jags were embarrassed last week. 10 days to sit and sulk and think about what they had done. Were they going to respond? I don't know. Nicholas Foles out there. Can he give a repeat performance of what he did last week against Indianapolis on the road in a relief appearance for Alex Smith as a starter? I don't know. Let's find out. D Ford, 3.5 sacks last week. Can he follow that up with another big performance? I don't know. How about we find out together? We'll talk about this game here in a second. But first, as always, if you're a newcomer, if this is your first time here or you simply haven't hit that red button under the Louie Tee Network logo, then what are you waiting on? Subscribe to the Louie Tee Network for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game over here. Want you to be a part of it, so come on and join us here on the Louie Tee Network. Use your power by hitting that subscribe button and join the movement, man. We changing the game over here. One live feed at a time, as I always tell you. Hit that button. Make it happen. Next, I'm also on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle, so go ahead and follow me there. You want to know when I'm doing a live feed? You want to know when I'm posting a video? You want to chop it up, talk football? I love talking football. It's what I do. You want to chop it up and talk with me? Best way to do that on Twitter. You want to know when that video is getting dropped live? Best way to know that? Turn on your notifications. Follow me on Twitter. It's simple. Follow me @InTheLabRoom on Twitter, and also I'm on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Go ahead, give me the thumbs up there. Right now, I'm in the transitional phase between getting my Facebook page where I wanted to be, man. Facebook Live, man. I'm telling you, that's where it's at too. And I'm about to start doing some things up there as well. Some exclusive content is what the plan is moving forward. So, hey, go ahead and do that. Follow me on Facebook. So, with that being said, hey, let's talk Kansas City Chiefs, Jacksonville Jaguars football, shall we? Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe from this football game. Man, where do we begin? First half, maybe? Jacksonville Jaguars, likes? Sounds like a good landing destination and starting destination for me. Chris Ivory on the likes list in the first half of this game. My goodness. And really for the entire game. Chris Ivory was magnificent. And I thought he did some really good things. And he deserves a lot of credit for them sticking in this ballgame now. He did have a big turnover. We'll talk about that big boo-boo later on in the game. But make no mistake about it. Chris Ivory, this is the guy that they signed up for right here. This is what they paid for in the offseason. Not the guy that got sick right before the season started and really wasn't himself, the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season. This is the guy right here that they were looking for. The one that's running over Ron Parker. Ron Parker lost his soul in this game in the first half. Chris Ivory rumbling down the sidelines, and Ron Parker said, hey, I'm here. I'm a roadblock. And Chris Ivory says, I don't have any brakes, bruh. Either get out the way or get ran over. He said, well, you're going to have to run me over then. Fine, I'll take your soul. Boom! Ran him over and kept running like he wasn't even there. Ron Parker lost his soul in this game. And I saw Ron Parker have a couple of opportunities later in the game to make some plays. His soul was gone, man. He couldn't make no plays. Chris Ivory took it in the first half when he ran over him on the sidelines. Chris Ivory had a big game. Over 100 yards, first time as a Jaguar doing that. They're looking for him to do this more often, and it'll give them a chance maybe in the future to win a couple more games this season. Marquise Lee. Remember, last year was his rookie season. It was a wasted season. Injuries really marred his rookie campaign. Was never able to stay healthy. Hamstrings were never right last year, it seemed like. Well, this year, hamstrings started to be troublesome early in the season. He's gotten past that. Now he's starting to actually be productive. And he had a huge game. 4 catches, 84 yards, almost scored a touchdown. had a nice kickoff return as well. He's starting to become an integral part of this football team. Special teams, offense, doing whatever he can to help, and that's what they need from Marquise Lee. Good to see him starting to get on track as well. And then the touchdown before the half. I mean, this is a situation where you're trailing 10-0. You've done nothing for the majority of this game, and you're able to drive it down the field. You get to a third down situation late in the first half, and I'm thinking they're going to have to settle for a field goal like the Jacksonville Jaguars normally do. And Blake Bortles buys some time and finds AR-15, Allen Robinson, in the back of the end zone. Great toe tap catch. Boom. Touchdown just like that. You're right back in this ball game at 10-7, a game that you trailed by 2 scores, 10-0 for much of the second quarter. Now all of a sudden, 1-score game going into half. Huge momentous boost if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars getting that touchdown right before the half. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs in their first half likes. DJ Alexander and Sorensen forcing a fumble on a punt return of Brian Walters. It's a great play. It turns into an Albert Wilson touchdown. Beautifully thrown football by Nicholas Foles. Back of the end zone. Albert Wilson able to get his feet in. Touchdown, 7-0. Kansas City Chiefs in this football game. Ramik Wilson with an interception. Beautiful interception of Blake Bortles. And that turned into a field goal. So all 10 of the Chiefs' first half points. And the first 13 Chiefs points in this game, all off of Jaguars turnovers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. You move on to the first half dislikes for both teams. We go back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Dropped interception by Prince Amukamara. The safety comes off the other side. So it's a little pressure on Nicholas Foles. He airmails it about 45, 50 yards down the field. His receiver stops around the 40-yard mark. That ball travels for another 7 to 10 yards in the air. Prince Amukamara tracks it down. He's going to pick it off. It's in his hands. The safety coming from the opposite side of the field has no idea. He's tracking the football as well. Has no idea Prince Amukamara is going to catch this football. Runs smack dab into him. Knocks the ball out of Amukamara's hands. It's incomplete. Now, actually, a couple plays later, they have to punt, do the Kansas City Chiefs. No harm, no foul. Probably would have ended up with the football in the same spot. Who knows what the return is from Amukamara there. Who knows? We don't know. But in any event, Jaguars still got the football a couple plays later. So really didn't matter unless he would have ran that back for a touchdown. But I basically wrote this down in my notes because this is what happens when you're a bad football team. These are the types of things. And all of the things that are dislikes for this Jaguars team proves why they're 2-6 right now. It's the reason why they're not good. Because good teams don't do these things. Good teams don't run into each other when they're trying to pick the football up. You may get a teammate that has a pick and another teammate thinks he's going to get the pick and they wrestle over the ball and then neither one of them catches it. But rarely do you see a guy literally have the ball in his hands and his teammate runs smack dab into him unknowingly, unbeknownst to him, and knocks the football out of his teammate's hand. That's almost a football folly. Only happens to bad teams. It happened to Jacksonville. Brian Walter fumbles the football on the punt return, turns into a Chiefs touchdown. A couple plays later, Nicholas Foles connecting with Albert Wilson. That's what bad football teams do. They turn it over, and then not only do they turn it over, but they don't hold the other team from scoring or getting in the end zone, at least forcing a field goal. They give up a touchdown. They turn over again. Blake B throws an interception. That's another dislike in the first half. That turns into a field goal. All 10 of the Kansas City Chiefs points in the first half, all accounted for by Jacksonville Jaguars turnovers. Again, these are the types of mistakes 2-6 ball clubs make. You want to win in this league, you can't turn it over, especially when you're on the road and you can't give up points off of those turnovers. Jags did all of those things. They're trailing at the halftime break 10-7. You go to the Chiefs and their first half dislikes. Jeremy Maclin, groin injury. He injured his groin during the course of the week last week, was having some issues, sat out of practice a couple of days with that injury. Turns out to re-aggravate it early in this game, leaves the ball game, does not return. Hopefully that is not a nagging injury. And as a man who's had a groin injury before playing football, it is not fun. And the only thing that heals it properly is time. Hopefully his is not a significant one and he's able to come back and play sooner rather than later. Pass interference in the end zone by Steven Nelson. That's how the Jaguars got their touchdown in the first half to end the first half. Steven Nelson a little bit too aggressive on a sort of fade in the slot by Allen Hurns, grabbing all over, just molesting the man, and then wanted to know why a flag was thrown. Are you serious? You never even looked back for the ball. You groped and molested this man, and then you want to know why a flag is being thrown. Stop it. Stop your nonsense. That was on a third down, by the way, on a ball that I probably think wouldn't have been caught, but you never know. You never know these things. You'd like to think, they wasn't going to catch it anyway. No. That the groping and the molesting and the assault that took place took that opportunity away from the receiver to see if he could make a play. So in any event, that pass interference happened in the end zone, put the ball at the 1, and Jacksonville struggled, but they got it in there 3 plays later on a touchdown to AR-15. Dropped picks by Ron Parker already, as well. So after that pass interference on Steven Nelson, you get an opportunity. Blake Bortles, they run it on first down. It stopped. The Jags use their final timeout. 15 seconds left in the first half. So now you know the second down play is going to be a pass, and if they don't get that, third down play is going to be a pass. Well, Blake Bortles rolls out, sprint option out to the right, and he's looking for essentially one side of the field read. He's hoping somebody pops open on a quick throw, and nobody's open. He extends right by the sidelines and decides he's going to try to throw it, and it should have been picked off by Ron Parker, hit him both in his hands. But guess what? His soul was gone from the first half blaze that he got from Chris Ivory when he was steamrolled, and so he couldn't catch the football, and the next play is a touchdown to Allen Robinson. So those were my first half dislikes by the Kansas City Chiefs. As we go back to the second half, go back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This time we're talking about their likes in the second half. For me, it's the touchdown late to cut it to 19-14. It gave you a chance in this game. You still needed to stop, but you had opportunities in this game. When you look back and you say, man, we had an opportunity to win this game. We really did. We had the Chiefs right where we wanted them, and we blew it. We fumbled away the football at the 1-yard line. We missed a field goal. We turned it over 3 times, resulting in 13 Kansas City points. We were awful, and we still had a shot. And because we're not a good football team, we weren't able to find a way to overcome the mistakes we made and win this game. They had opportunities, and so the lone like in the second half is getting that touchdown to T.J. Yeldon out of the backfield, catching the football, splitting 2 defenders and getting in the end zone to cut it to a 19-14 deficit before allowing the Chiefs to pick up the necessary first downs to run out the clock. You go to the Chiefs in their second half likes, forced fumble of T.J. Yeldon. That led to a field goal. So the Jags picking right up where they left off in the first half with turnovers that turned into points. They help the Chiefs yet again with another turnover on a 3rd and long situation where they're just looking to pick up some yardage and punt. And Yeldon almost picks up the first down, but in the process does forget one thing: security of the football. Ball is turned over to the Chiefs, who then get a field goal off of that mistake. Dee Ford has been an animal, and he continued his tear on the season this year with another 2 sacks. That gives him 9 on the season. He's right up there among the league leaders right now, currently up there with Lorenzo Alexander and Von Miller. Those guys, I think Miller has 9.5 to lead the entire league, and Lorenzo Alexander and Ford are tied for second with 9. These guys are just absolutely killing it right now, and 5.5 of these sacks by Dee Ford have come in the last 2 weeks. And not only did he sack Blake Bortles in this game, he harassed Blake Bortles. It wasn't just the sacks. It was the pressures. It was the near sacks. It was the hits. It was him just being a nuisance on the right side of that offense, destroying the right tackle for the Jacksonville Jaguars and consistently getting to the quarterback in this game. I'd like to venture to say he had 2 sacks and another 4 to 5 hurries in this game where he got his hands either on Blake Bortles or forced him to throw it faster than he wanted to, or made him get outside the pocket. Dee Ford was a one-man wrecking crew along that defensive line for the Chiefs in this game. Cairo Santos, doesn't it feel good to have a kicker that you can rely on, that you feel comfortable sending out there to kick a 51-yard field goal, a 48-yard field goal, a 37-yard field goal, a 29-yard field goal? Doesn't that feel good in a game where you have to knock home 4 field goals in order to win, and your kicker says, I got you, don't worry about it, where you only score 1 touchdown the entire afternoon? Doesn't that feel good? I remember one season, it might have been 2 seasons ago, out in Cincinnati, where you lose. Cairo Santos was your entire offense. I think you scored 21 points or 18 points in that game, and he was like 6 of 6, 7 of 7. Cairo Santos is a really good field goal kicker. Every now and again, he'll miss a kick. What kicker doesn't? Outside of Adam Vinatieri and maybe Justin Tucker. How many kickers don't miss? I mean, Cairo Santos is money. and he was money for you in this game. And you need to look no further than across the field at the Jaguars kicker, Chris Myers, to see what happens when you can't make field goals. He misses from 54 yards. That turns into some great field position for the Chiefs. And in a game where you lose by 5, you make that field goal. Who knows what happens? Maybe the Jags don't lose this game. I'm just saying, doesn't it feel good to have Cairo Santos? You should feel fortunate. There are a lot of teams like the Minnesota Vikings that would love to have Cairo Santos on their team, a consistent kicker that puts it between the uprights and gets points on the scoreboard. Fumble recovery in the end zone by MP Double Deuce, the Kansas City thief, Marcus Peters, on a huge fumble by Chris Ivory. You could argue he was down. You could argue that the ball was across the plane of the goal line. It was a touchdown already. The call on the field was the big piece of the puzzle there. And we'll talk more about this when we get there. Big recovery, though, for the Chiefs in the end zone to thwart a scoring opportunity for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And finally, the big stop defensively late. You get a huge 3rd-and-1 stop by Don Terry Poe. Man, is he a mountain of a man. And he made a beautifully athletically gifted play late to spin out of a block, get right into the rushing lane, and stonewall the running back and push him backwards for a 1-yard loss. Jags go for it on 4th down. Do not get it. Great play by Steven Nelson to break up the pass. And that was basically all she wrote. Chiefs get a couple first downs, put this game on ice. So big stop late defensively to get the football back to your offense and allow them to do the rest of the work. You go to the dislikes in this game in the second half, and we start with the visiting team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Fumble by TJ Yeldon on the first possession of the second half. You have a penalty that puts you in a long down and distance situation. You're just looking to get some yards and punt. And he gets almost all of it back in one fell swoop. But like I said earlier, forgot to secure the football. Fumbles recovered by the Chiefs leads to a field goal. Again, Chiefs making plays, forcing turnovers, getting points off those turnovers. Jaguars doing what a 2-6 team does, turning it over and giving up points thereafter. Blake B misses a wide open AR-15. I looked at the numbers from this game from afar before I watched the game, and I said, okay, Blake B throws one interception. That's typical Blake B, but he didn't throw up all over himself. Numbers aren't bad. Maybe he had a good game. Maybe he followed up a solid performance last week. No, he was terrible last week versus Tennessee. I said maybe he's trying to turn a corner. Maybe he's going to get better. And then I watched the game and I said, oh, same old B. Same old Blake B. Almost threw about 4 interceptions in this game. Should have thrown at least 3 for sure. A couple of drops, interception department for the Chiefs. And still a guy that is inaccurate, missing guys down the field. I mean, how much more open do you want Allen Robinson to be down the sidelines? Beat the corner. Safety's not there yet. I don't know how much more open you want this man to be. But missed him again, and all Blake could do was hold his head like he always does when he misses an open receiver and fuss at himself. How about you stop doing that and just start hitting them? Makes all of that other stuff irrelevant. But anyway, Jason Myers misses a field goal from 54 yards. No, is that a chip shot? No, it's not a chip shot. But you got the leg. They know you can make it. They've seen you make it. Go make it. Simple as that. Chris Ivory fumbled at the one. This probably was the most impactful play in the game because if the Jags get on the board there, it's 19-14 with a ton of time left in this game and everything in front of you if you're the Jaguars in terms of getting a stop, getting the football back. Even a field goal really doesn't hurt you as much because then you're only down 8. That's still a touchdown, 2-point conversion, 1-score game. So a touchdown there, huge. Instead, you get a Chris Ivory fumble, and he may have been in, he may not have been in, but don't put the officials in that position to have to decipher whether you fumbled at the one or not. Get in the end zone. And so that really hurt. You go to the Chiefs, second half dislikes. Dropped interception by Steven Nelson. And he had a rough go of it. I talked about the pass interference in the end zone that led to a touchdown. He dropped an interception early in the second half. I talked about Blake Bortles living dangerously. Should have thrown 4 interceptions, definitely at least 3. Here's one of these guys that needed to make a play on one of those interception attempts. Stephen Daniels had an opportunity. Or Nelson had an opportunity. Dive and stab. It wasn't the easiest pick, no, but I've seen harder catches made. He could have caught that, and he should have caught that. That would have been a big play. So then you get a situation where Travis Kelce blows up. He snaps. And he had every right to be upset. There was pass interference that wasn't called, but you have to conduct yourself in a certain manner. And after the game, he said, "Oh, so they can throw their flag on me, but I can't throw my flag on them." And you know what would have been better if he would have took his flag and threw it up like an official throws their flag up. He literally looked like he threw the flag at the official, which wasn't his intent. He wasn't looking to try to strike the official with a flag. He was just saying, you know what? You deserve a flag. Take that. And that's what he should have did, thrown it in the air, not throw it at the official where they can take it as a disrespect and a slight and get you out of the game. And so he gets ejected. And at this point, it's 16-7. And they hit him with 2 personal foul penalties, unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, that both are counted off. So it goes from third and 4 to 3rd and 34. And they're out of field goal range, back at like the 41-yard line. And they throw a little screen to Charkandrick West, and he picks up about a good 20. Get him right back in the field goal range, and they knock it home. Cairo Santos, like I said, money on the day, 19-7 Chiefs take the lead. They would ultimately win this game 19-14. Was it pretty? Nope, wasn't pretty. You don't get any aesthetically pleasing points for this. But does it matter? No. And I read somewhere where the Chiefs said, we're not going to apologize for winning ugly, nor should you. This is your brand of football. This is what you do, which is why nobody's paying attention. I said, last week I said this, the quietest 5-2 team in the league. I'm going to say it this week now, and this is new. This is brand new. The quietest, most under the radar 6-2 team you've ever seen in your life. I said it here first. Nobody's talking Chiefs football. It's not fun. It's not easy on the eyes sometimes. They're not a team that's going to blow you out and score, 45 points. No, it's not flashy football, but what it is, it's winning football. It gets the job done, and I'll take it every day of the week. And they're activating Justin Houston off the PUP list. Don't know if he's going to play. Doesn't really matter at this point. As long as you know he's coming back, if you can get something out of him, he's probably not going to be the same guy right off the bat. Give him some time, but if you can get anything out of him, with still having Hali and especially having Lee, your other pass rusher, D Ford, come on, man. You could get back to having one of those tag team things like you used to when Houston and Hali were in their heyday. That would be a lot of fun to watch. So if you're a Chiefs fan, you shouldn't give a damn what anybody's saying or not saying about your team. Damn the whole, we don't get any respect. Don't worry about that. You don't want people talking about you. You want to sneak up on teams. It's easier that way. So they want to sleep on the Chiefs? Let them. Let them. At the game's end, look up at the scoreboard and say, hey, we got another one. That's all it's about. And so Chiefs are finding a way to win, and everybody's going to go goo-goo gaga over the Raiders, and the Raiders were dominant last night. They deserve a lot of credit. But make no mistake about it, there's a team in this division no one's talking about that already beat the Raiders in Oakland. It's this Kansas City Chiefs football team. And they're winning without their starting quarterback. They won last week on the road without Alex Smith for the most part in that game. Nicholas Foles stepped in, played good football, led them to a victory. They go home, and against a bad Jaguars team, they struggle, but they did enough to win, and that's what the good teams in this league do. They don't have to have their fastball every game. Doesn't matter. As long as you know how to win, how to get the job done, you're going to find a way to do it at the end, especially against bad football teams like the Jacksonville Jaguars. So with that being said, I don't think there are any comments, and there aren't. So I'll go ahead and get out of here. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the lab room on the Louie Tee Network. Lockdown coverage. The Kansas City Chiefs are now 6-2, sitting in second place in the tough, rugged, and rough AFC West division. Just a half game behind the Oakland Raiders. And remember, they've already beaten that Raiders football team earlier in the season. So if they win next week versus Carolina, they're going to have a share of first place. And they will actually be in first place because of the tiebreaker versus the Oakland Raiders. So this is a Chiefs team everybody's sleeping on. Let them sleep. Don't even set the alarm for them. Just let them sleep. They'll wake up and it'll be too late. Meanwhile, the Jacksonville Jaguars dropped to 2-6, and they did the things that 2-6 teams do. They had 13 points off of 3 Jaguars turnovers in this game. They had a number of mistakes. Blake Bortles is missing guys deep. This is what happens when you're a bad football team. You don't find ways to win. Instead, you find ways to lose. And that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars seem to do on a routine basis, week in and week out. For me and everybody watching, I thank you. This is the Louie Tee Network, lockdown coverage. And remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I'll see you later. Got plenty more games to break down. 3 to be exact. Carolina at Los Angeles. Also, the San Diego Chargers hosting the Tennessee Titans. And lastly, the San Francisco 49ers at home versus the all of a sudden surging New Orleans Saints. I'll see you later on for all of those games. Have a good one.